Well, welcome to a little short video on should I buy a camper? Now, here's the background information on it. The first thing is that I periodically disappear into the national park system, and I may be gone for anywhere from a week, and sometimes I'm gone for 3 months. Uh, and so I spend an awful lot of time living in areas where motels are hard and far and precious between. And I'm just wondering if it would be to my benefit to buy a camper instead of paying a motel bill. So what we're looking at now is we're looking at, here's our variables is how much is the cost of the camper? Okay. Then the second question we have to ask is, well, how much does a motel cost? Okay. And then the third one is, how much does a campsite cost? And then the fourth one is, how many days am I going to stay in the campsite? So basically, if I take the motel minus the cost of the campsite, right, that's going to tell me how much per day how much cheaper it's going to be per day. And I multiply that by the number of days, that's going to tell me how much I'll save by staying in a camper. And I need to take that number and use that to determine how much I'm going to pay for the camper. I'm going to do this with an Excel spreadsheet. And I've already set up some of these guys here for us. So let's just make a rough estimate. Say I'm going to spend $10,000 on the camper. Average motel costs, they can go pretty wild, but let's just say that we're going to start off at $65 a night. The campsites I stay in are $14 a night, right? Now, this is where it's going to get a little interesting. Let's assume, and I am going to be going up there for Christmas, so I'm going to put a date in 12/13/2010. All right, that's that date. Okay, and I'm going to stay until 12 13 uh, 23 2010. Okay, so now how do I figure out how many days there are in here? Well, one of the most important things about Excel is it's got functions, and we have a bunch of date time functions, and one of the things we have is a day's 360. I'm just going to use this because this gives me a start date and end date. So I'm going to pop this in. The start date is going to be, this is when I start, okay, and the end date is going to be, this is where I end, okay. That tells me I'll be there for 10 days. I'm also going back, and I'm going to make kind of a deliberate error here, but uh, suppose I go back on May/15/2011, and I stay until school starts again, which would be August 15th, 2011. Okay, and so that'll be there 90 days. So the number of days that I'll be working is going to be the sum of basically this whole column. I don't know how many I'm going to put there, right? Okay, so what have I got here? Well, let's look at the payoff. So this is going to be equal to, well, we're going to make this the savings. So we're going to take um, the average motel cost minus how much it's going to cost for the campsite, right? And we're going to multiply that by the number of days here, all right? Oops. And that tells me that I will save, this is my savings of $5,100. It's a $10,000 camper. All right. And so let's get rid of this. All right, that's how much savings by buying a camper. And that's actually wrong. It's going to cost me $5,100. No, wait. All right. So now this is going to be my total cost, which is going to be equal to how much the camper is minus how much I saved by staying in the camper. So that tells me it's going to cost me 4,900 bucks to stay in a camper rather than a motel. Well, that's not worth it to me. Just not worth it. But, oh, look, I made a mistake. I won't be going here on 4. I will be going here on 5, 4/20, April 20th. All right, so boom. All right. Whoa, now wait a minute now. That looks better. I'll be 125 days. And guess what? I'm probably going to be working the next year too. So for 2011 or 12 rather, and we're going to 8, 15, 2012. All right, that's another 115 days. Oh, look, guess what? Uh, that means this is a negative number, which means I'm actually making money. So if I work 2 summers plus Christmas, well, I'll be working next Christmas too. Well, actually, we'll just stop right there. But I work 2 summers and Christmas, then I'll actually, so I can break even would be an $11,000 trailer. Type done. Okay, maybe I can get a $12,000 camper. That's getting close. Actually, there's a way to calculate that. I don't know if I can show it to you, um, but they have what they call a goal seek um, function. Um, and so one of the things I want you to figure out on your own is the goal seek function. Um, and let me just type it in here. And so with these assumptions, if I work 2 summers plus this Christmas, it'll cost me 260, and I buy a $12,500 camper. That means it cost me $260. Now this stuff here is the quantitative stuff. It can give me that number. Now the qualitative question is, how much am I willing to pay in order to avoid staying in a motel? And the answer is $260, you betcha. All right. So I want you to look at the goal seek function, um, and which is actually scrolled off my screen here. But anyway, and I want you to tell me, given these dates here, uh, how much should I figure on spending for a camper? And just turn the spreadsheet in, if you will. Uh, don't screen print it, just turn the whole spreadsheet in. And that's how you use this as a decision support system. It's okay. Well, what happens if the price of the motel? Suppose I get a great deal on a motel. Uh-oh. Now look what happened. Now I'm spending a lot of money. I better get back down to my $10,000 camper. No. Okay. You see, by changing these numbers up, I can begin to talk about, and this is something that you need to be looking at, 2 things: worst case and then best case. Okay, if motel rooms are $65 a night, and I'm going to be able to work these days, and I can go down and get, the $14 campsite, then uh, and then that would be a best case scenario. Worst case scenario is if I got to get into one of the $20 campsites, and all of a sudden this guy goes down to $45 a night, and I'm not going to be able to work Christmas. Um, All right, now all of a sudden that's getting to be really expensive. And use GoalSeek here. I'm just typing in numbers, but use GoalSeek to give me the value of that camper. All right. Okay. So your assignment basically is to um, uh, use GoalSeek to give me a worst case and best case analysis of how much that camper is going to cost using reasonable assumptions for how much the motel costs, campsite cost, um, and the days. Whoops. Okay. All right. And that didn't work. There we go. All right. Time's up. Y'all enjoy.